Hey y'all, it's Kobe R. Rice, and I'm back again for another weekly creative update. And I have to give you guys another quick apology. I know that this particular podcast number 77, by the way, is late because honestly, I. I can't even say that I didn't even feel like recording on Monday because that's not really the truth. It's just that I was so deeply entrenched in the stuff that I was doing that it just wasn't in my creative flow to stop all the things I've been doing for the past 3 days just to record the podcast. I know that's kind of a dick thing to do, being that I'm trying to come on here weekly and give my journal. But because it's a journal and because I don't necessarily have to adhere to the schedule 1,000% of the time, I decided to take a little bit of liberty this week and just record it a little later. The other podcasts I'll be running, though, will be on a very strict weekly schedule, but this is the podcast where I kind of take liberties, being that it's, a personal journey update podcast. So anyways, for those of you who are new to this channel and new to this podcast, welcome back to welcome to the epic fantastical journey of a Black female sci-fi writer. I am Kobe R. Rice, novelist, screenwriter, TV writer, director, game designer, narrative designer, and a whole bunch of other things that I don't remember right now because I'm creatively crazy, but I love it. And this podcast is about basically marking my journey from, my personal zero stage to fully fledged creative. And so welcome. And to those of you who have been basically like writing and dying with me the entire time, welcome back. Excuse me, I'm sorry about that. There's like a frog in my throat or something, so I hope you guys didn't catch the brunt of that cough. In any case, let's get started. So what has been going on for the past week and a half? I actually will be giving you guys an update all the way up until what I was doing last night so that it's really, really up to date. But, okay, where do I want to start? Two things. I am going to give my creative milestones because I have actually achieved quite a few of them this past week and a half, which I'm really excited about. But I did want to quickly introduce the topic, the sort of lesson learned for this past week and a half of this podcast, which is basically building something brick by brick and enjoying the process. And I'm actually going to get really, I wouldn't say personal, but really real and raw and honest. Not that I'm ever not raw and honest, but in terms of my creative motivation and just what I've been thinking about in terms of my career and my creativity, y'all are just going to get like the complete uncut, just dark and gritty, down and dirty version of it. So just be prepared. But I named the podcast as such because I wanted to talk about what it means to enjoy the process and what it means to be a creative person to me, which is something I've been really strongly thinking about, considering, and then reconsidering in light of certain things that have been happening and going on, which I will enlighten you guys on in just a minute. So that's a quick intro, but let's first get into the stuff that I actually got done this week. So this week was actually like a pretty big writing week in terms of TV writing and development. And if I'm looking, for those of you looking at the video version of this podcast, as usual, if I'm not looking at you guys directly, it's because I'm referring to my notes. So forgive me ahead of time, please. It's not intentional. But I have been really busting my rump and working hard on TV writing this week. For one, I both sat and finished Shonda Rhimes' TV writing masterclass at masterclass.com, which is an amazing site chock full of all these wonderful lessons and industry insights and creative and craft insights from basically all these different creative people from all different walks of life. I mean, we have not only novelists on there, such as James Patterson and now Margaret Atwood, who I'm super excited to take the class from. But we also have children's writers like Judy Blume and R.L. Stine. We have screenwriters such as Aaron Sorkin and David Mamet, who does screenwriting, but who also does writing stage plays and dramatic writing. Of course, Shonda Rhimes' TV writing course is second to none. It's incredible. And then you also have a lot of film directors on there like Spike Lee and Martin Scorsese and Werner Herzog. And then you have all these awesome actors on there, which it's just like, you have literally a course on there from Samuel L. Jackson and Helen Mirren and unfortunately Kevin Spacey's no longer with us, like on masterclass.com specifically, and other really amazing actors, and then athletes, and then chefs, and architects and musicians, and fashion designers. It's literally a creative training haven. So I was getting my life there. That actually, not that I was super energetic about it, but that's actually a pretty good plug for Masterclass. So I need to see if they have like an affiliate program. But I highly encourage you guys to sign up and learn from the best minds in the field in which you're interested in. I did, and so I finished Shonda Rhimes TV Masterclass, which was incredible. I love it. There are certain things that she was teaching that I sort of knew about on a surfacey level and superficial level, but then other things that I learned that were directly from industry experience that I can't get out of a TV writing craft course, just period, hands down. And if you're interested in breaking into the industry or even in building your own industry, which is what I'm interested in, having her insight on that level in and of itself is just invaluable, even if you don't care about the craft side of TV writing. Which you should, but like you don't have to care about that side of it to still get something out of the course. That's how good it is. So I did that for TV writing. I also worked on developing the Ezekiel TV series, the TV version of my novel series, The Books of Ezekiel. And I also actually put in quite a bit of work on developing a TV series version of the Camille, which is super exciting. And as I work on the Camille more and more, and more ideas come to me, and I'm getting more exposed to other science fiction and scientific realities out there, I'm getting pretty excited as to what I'm going to be doing with the Camille. And I say that because I'm in the beginning stages of it, and I have all these different things bubbling, and I know that they're going to come together sooner rather than later in the ether and come out to be amazing. And actually, I did make some progress not only on developing the TV series version of the Camille, but also in getting my artwork back from my cover artist and cover designer for the Camille. And the cover is looking sickening, and I'm not going to reveal it until the actual book is out. And so that will be probably sometime early next week, where the Camille will finally be available as a standalone novella, and I'm really excited about that. As I mentioned to you guys before, the TV series version of the Camille is also essentially helping me to plan out the serialized novel series version of the Camille. So basically what would be television episodes of the Camille as a TV series will be transformed into small mini episodes written in prose in novella format for the serialized novella series, the serialized novel series. So right now, the Camille, from my view, is set up for 5 seasons, 10 episodes per season. That's the TV version of the Camille. The serialized novel version of the Camille is that each season will be a fully fledged novel, and each episode is I wouldn't say a chapter in that novel, but a novella installment in that novel. And as the Camille is running, those episodes for my serialized novel series will run anywhere between 10,000 to maybe 22,000 words per episode. So each season in its novel format will probably be anywhere between 100,000 words and 200,000 words. I'm going to try to chunk it down a little bit more and make it a little bit more fast-paced. It's already really fast-paced, actually, but like make it more just streamlined and, shall we say, intentional about its storytelling style and about its plot points and things like that. But the way that it's shaping up in both versions, for me, it's really, really exciting. And I see a really wonderful, bright future for the Camille. And as a matter of fact, I'm just going to announce this now so that I can claim this in the future. But the Camille is going to be really my first major step in establishing a new genre in science fiction that I call FemmePunk. We have cyberpunk, solar punk, diesel punk, biopunk, nanopunk, and all the other punks, steampunk, with regard to the different sort of subgenres of science fiction, the punk subgenres of science fiction. And I am, for me and for what I want to do with this series, but also with other franchises that I'm developing, I want to create and push forward a new subgenre of sci-fi that I call FemmePunk, which is a hard-hitting, kick-ass, action-packed, like science system-y, just amazing science fiction series, but dealing with strong female characters and also dealing specifically with female issues. And I don't necessarily mean like menstruation, you know what I'm saying? But just dealing with science fiction from an action perspective, but also from a female perspective. And I think that this is a really important genre to really invest in. And I say that obviously for obvious reasons. Like I say that because I'm the one coining the genre as far as I know. But at the same time, I think it's time for there to be a stronger female badass presence in science fiction as a whole. Not just for authors, but for female leads, Like I really enjoyed, for example, even though the lead character in Edge of Tomorrow was Tom Cruise, the co-actress was Emily Blunt, and who played a really strong, badass female character in a really awesome science fiction, concept and science fiction film. And so even though the film was centered mostly on Cruise, I often wondered, like, what would a hard sci-fi series and genre look? How would it look with a female lead? You don't sacrifice quality. You don't sacrifice ingenuity. You don't sacrifice, the action and the ass kicking and all those things. All you do is swap out the main characters with women and focus on the things that we deal with as women on an individual level, but we're still kicking ass and saving the world on a larger level. Like, what would that look like? And so that's sort of what I'm trying to push forward. And I know a lot of people will say that, well, we already have female-led science fiction, for example, like The Hunger Games and Divergent, which, those sorts of stories have been amazing for pushing forward the female character and the female lead in science fiction, specifically in dystopian sci-fi romance and things like that. But I still want to see like space westerns, cyberpunk. I want to see space operas that have strong female leads. That's what I want to see. And I want to see a variety of different kinds of women in those leads. And so I guess my contribution to science fiction right now is to start pushing forward that genre. Again, because you guys know that my brand is dark and gritty, noir and witty, right? That is not going to be sacrificed just because there's a female lead in the story pushing forward the storyline. So I think people are sort of afraid to put women in the role of like that noir, setting. We can be the femme fatales, but we can never be, say, Takeshi Kovacs in that sort of thing. Like you never see us in that kind of role. And I sort of want to see that a little bit more. So the Camille won't be all things FemmePunk, like that I want FemmePunk to be, but it will be the start of this new genre that I'm trying to like coin and push forward because I feel like it's important. Anyway, that was like a sidetracking of what I actually am supposed to be talking about. Let's get back on track. FemmePunk. Oh, okay. So I also, in addition to working on the Camille and developing that, what else have I done? Oh, I have also continued to study and sit the Create Your Binge-Worthy TV class that I signed up for, which is, I mean, now that I'm going through it, it's really rigorous. I mean, I was able to do lessons 0 through 2 in like a day, but lesson 3 is taking me a while because that's like that's the character development part. And for me, character is really important. I need to know who they are, what they want, what they need, because those are two different things. What their objectives are, what their critical history is, which is another thing that I've sort of I use in my toolbox, what their past wounds are, what their flaws are, what their self-made obstacles are, etc., etc. Like, I need to know those things about my characters. Otherwise, there's literally no story. I can't really write a story without character. So, yeah. And that's another thing I'm actually trying to bring into the Camille as well, is just figure out more about what Andrea Donick Ramoni actually wants for her life. So, amazing courses, some excellent progress on TV writing, excited. Prose writing, I have been working on Hollow Point and Sodom and Rose and John Doe sort of all at the same time, sort of in a very scant way. And that's actually I'm going to come back to that later in the podcast when I talk about enjoying the process, because I'm still struggling with really getting captured and captivated by the writing process right now. And so I will come back to that. I've literally sort of managed down my expectations to 100 words a day. Like, that's how not motivated I'm feeling this week. And I notice that it kind of turns on and turns off and turns on and turns off. And I'll get into why. I finally figured out why that is, but I'll get into that later in the podcast. So next thing that I actually was able to achieve, marketing. Nothing super interesting on the marketing front per se, except for the fact that the Camille, as I told you guys before, the cover is sickening. I'm in love with it. I'm in love with my cover designer, creatively, not romantically, obviously. And that will be getting released at some point, hopefully early next week, as the first iteration of the Camille series and the first episode of the Camille series. And it will probably get updated and edited and rewritten over the course of the next few months, which I'm okay with. But so that's been happening on the marketing front. I actually just got back the cover files from my cover designer. He's great. I am also just ridiculously somehow in the middle of 2 more box sets. One is a futuristic dystopian box set, which will be coming out in September. And either I will be including one of my current novels in that box set, or I'll be incurring, I need to get it together, or I'll be including a newer novel in the box set. It really depends on whether or not I finish Sodom. That's really what it depends on right now. If I finish Sodom, which is the first book in the Asylum series, I will be including Sodom in this futuristic dystopian box set that I'm in with, I think it's 11 other authors. If not, I'll just be including The Given and expanding my readership with exposure to my work. All great news. The other box set apparently that I am a part of is it's going to be a short story horror anthology, which is probably coming out sometime in October. And you guys know me. I don't really do short stories like that. So more than likely it will be a novella, which is more than likely going to be the first episode in another serialized novel series of the survival horror Persuasion, which is kind of crazy, but also kind of exciting, right? Because then that means that this year, if I stay on schedule, I will have published 2 novellas and a fully fledged, almost 200,000 word novel, which is great. And also, with all the other things that I've been doing, that would really, really put the cherry on top of my year as a creative and as an author. So let's just, pray for me though, because you guys know that my graduate school semester is coming up. Unfortunately, very, very soon, like literally, I have exactly a month left before I have to go back. And so things are going to get a little crazier, not as crazy as they have been for the past 2 years, but still a lot busier. And so the fact that I will potentially be working on yet another new novella, finishing up Hollow Point, and maybe finishing up, I don't know, Sodom to include in that other box set in, the next 5 months it just feels insane to me, honestly. But hey, I asked for it. This is the life of creative, and as crazy and as stressful as it can be at times, I still really love it. So anyway, that's what's happening on the marketing front. But in terms of what I'll be doing for the Q3, which is the third quadrimester in my fiscal year as a creative, from September to December, marketing is probably going to be my primary focus. Marketing and then finishing up these writing projects. I am strongly considering from September 1st, literally until December 31st, just doing a hardcore dive into figuring out Facebook ads and groups, Instagram stories, IGTV, Twitter, Periscope, whatever else Twitter has going on, Pinterest, getting more into their analytics, really pimping out and, sprucing up my LinkedIn page, and also like somehow being able to connect my blog to my LinkedIn feed if that's possible. And also like expanding my author platform and my teaching platform through LinkedIn. And also, of course, really amping up my YouTube channels with new video casts, live casts, tutorials, and things like that. So I really want to take this last quadrimester to really home in, and focus on marketing and just give myself a really hardcore lesson in everything I need to do to up my marketing game so I can launch all those new things in January of 2019. I'll also be looking into Amazon, the Amazon algorithms and the Amazon ads. And I'll also be looking into the international stores and distributors of ebooks and paperbacks as well. So you guys know how I feel about going exclusive with Amazon. I am very much a wide girl. That sounded kind of nasty and dirty, but it's okay. I distribute widely with my books, except for the Camille and 2054, which have to be in Amazon exclusively right now. So I am also then invested in figuring out what the international markets are looking like. And people are saying that the international markets are kind of dead, especially when it comes to Facebook ads. And I don't really believe them, to be really honest with you. I just don't. Not because I don't take the word of people who are more experienced than I am, but I don't feel as though authors value international markets enough to investigate thoroughly the different mediums that are available to them. For example, nobody's marketing to Africa because most authors don't see Africa as a continent or any of the nations on it or in it as a valuable market. I do. And whether or not the world wants to face it, at some point, I believe in my heart that, places in Africa, places in Southeast Asia, places, in Eastern Europe are going to catch up to the ebook golden age that we see happening in the United States, the UK, Australia, and New Zealand. And I don't feel as though innovation is escapable. If just being alive and also just watching Apple and the iPhone craze grow, watching the growth of that worldwide, if iPhones can make it into Africa, then so can ebooks. Period. If smartphones can make it to poor communities or to lower income communities, then so can ebooks. Period. And I'm just so invested because I'm invested in developing not only readership of communities of color and disenfranchised communities, but also an authorship on my website, The Bohemian Badass. I'm interested in developing an authorship of disenfranchised communities and communities of color. The only people who are going to actively investigate the marketing potential of those communities are people who are probably a part of those communities. And so I, as someone who is awake to this freaking, just FYI, just a side note, this little buzzing fly that apparently has not escaped is apparently going to be a part of our podcast series every single time, because for whatever reason, I don't see him or her anywhere ever except for when I'm talking. Anyway, whatever. But just to get back to the point, looking at the marketing potential and the future, because, I am a sci-fi writer and a fantasy writer, looking at the futurist potential of these different markets, to me, is so important. No one really thought that authors could be independently published and make a living off of this until there was an avenue provided to them to do so. And anybody who was ready and prepared to take advantage of those advancements in technology and those opening markets and those innovations are basically sitting pretty and doing what they love to do every day and getting paid for it, which is writing and traveling and doing all these other things. Amanda Hawking comes to mind. She was able to literally take full advantage of a brand new market, brand new systems, brand new technologies. And, she was at the vanguard of this huge wave of authors who are now self-publishing and making a living. And I don't want to be behind the curve again. I don't want to be behind the 8 ball again when it comes to emerging markets. And so this is why I guess I'm a little bit like Joanna Penn in that way, where she's very much making a living off of what is going on right now in the markets. But she's also consistently and constantly looking towards the future and future potential and future technologies and trying to open up her worldview to what could be happening, because the world 10 years from now is not going to look anything like the world right now. Probably except for sociological issues. But in terms of technology and access and resources, 10 years down the line, we're going to have a whole new set of technologies to grab onto and new opportunities. And I just want to be either already there or just ready to, adopt. And so that's why I'm working so diligently to, try to perfect my craft, to hone my skills, to get content out, to study markets, and to position myself in the best way possible for taking advantage of these emerging markets. So that's sort of what's going all through my mind when it comes to marketing and what's been getting done this week. Because in addition to doing all those marketing things, I've also just been considering, like I said, the future, not just a 10-year down the line future, but also the immediate future, i.e. what am I going to do in the next 4 months to up my marketing game. Another major thing I'm going to be doing for marketing is I am committing to this, completely redesigning and revamping and rebooting my author website. This has been influenced by the fact that I have been working diligently on The Bohemian Badass, which I'll get into right now. And I have learned so much more about web design and using Divi to design my website, which is available at elegantthemes.com. Go check it out. It is well worth the money, and there is a learning curve, especially if you are, new to WordPress and new to Divi. You'll be learning on that for a while. But they also have a lot of really wonderful automatic pre-made templates for you to use that you can just upload and just add content to, like pictures and copy. So you don't have to completely recreate a website, from scratch if you don't have to. I've been working on the Bohemian Badass's website from scratch. I'll upload a template, for example, and then I'll take what I like, delete everything else, and then just work with what I have and develop something completely new. And because I've grasped onto those new skills as a marketing, not marketing, but as a, burgeoning graphic designer who designs her own stuff, I can now apply those new skills to my author website. So I will be working on KobeRRice.com for the next 4 to 5 months, and I will launch the brand new website on, again, January of 2019 with all its bells and whistles. I am super excited, so stay tuned for that. Okay, moving forward to the Bohemian Badass. That's actually been the thing that's been taking up the grand majority of my time for the past week and a half. And I definitely have been realizing a lot of mini successes on that front, because most of the website is now designed. All of my major pages have been designed. If you go over there and check it out, not all the copy has been updated, not all the links and pictures, and it's not 1,000% tightened up the way I want it to be, but the basic stuff is there. My coming soon pages have been uploaded where they need to be, and probably by the end of this week I will have at least a standing page for every single clickable page on my website. And I thought I would actually fill the website up with a bunch of coming soon pages, but I actually have been so inspired that I've been literally fully designing all of my pages that need to be designed. So it's exciting because I finally feel like I'm nearing sort of the end of an initial phase of launch, of like pre-launch tasks that I have to do. And even though there's a lot more to do and I have to start creating content and videos and blog posts and courses and things like that, a lot of the basics are in place, and I feel very confident to be launching September 1st. So I am super excited about it. And another thing that working on the Bohemian Badass has actually done for me is when I'm not really in the mood to write, or I'm not in the right mind space, designing my website is something I could literally do while listening to music, while listening to podcasts, while listening to my favorite YouTubers, while talking to my mother, just things like that. And so it allows me to really step into a completely different mind space, which I'm really, really grateful and thankful for, because sometimes you're just not in the mind space to write. And if I'm not in that mind space to write, I still need to be creating something. And so I feel like I don't have many down hours in my creativity, even if I'm not, pushing forward my writing in certain areas. So that was really great. That was awesome. And the other thing that I've been working on in the past week has just been getting through Creative Uni. I sat about 40% of the Publisher Thing Audience Magnet Arsenal 2.0 course. Very excited about that. It's, again, the Publish Your Thing course. I want to make sure I'm enunciating that correctly so you guys can find it. Has been continually giving me life and just helping me to up my game at the Bohemian Badass every single day. And I'm really excited. So that is pretty much what I've been getting done. And, now that I think back on it, it's been a little bit dry, I guess, but that's okay. It's okay. It's a journal. It doesn't have to be completely, perfect, but, let's get into the actual topic that I wanted to talk about. And it actually won't be that long because I really want to sort of move on and do some other creative things today. But this is still really important to talk about in terms of how to keep going as a creative. So, how do I say this without blowing people's spots? There has been a really popular, amazing, incredible YA author that's been getting a lot of airtime, a lot of play recently. Wrote an amazing book, got an amazing deal, and the book series that this author is producing is also slated to become a movie series as well. Pretty much every single thing that any of us authors would want for our careers, this author is achieving, and I am excited. I am amped. She's an amazing, young author, just bringing something completely new and fresh to the table. Super excited. So kudos to you, boo. I honestly. And the reason why I'm not naming this author is because I don't want to make this video about like comparisonitis or any sort of negativity or anything like that. I want to maintain the positive energy in its contained space, because the topic I'm about to talk about is about comparisonitis, and not actually me comparing myself to this author, but people in my life comparing me to this author. And so I don't want to bring that sort of weird negative energy into her space. I'm very, I know I'm a little weird. I'm a little bit metaphysical, and I'm very, very aware of energy and the power of words and the power of manifestation. So this is why I'm being very careful with how I'm compartmentalizing this amazing, young, fresh, incredible author and her success away from the topic I'm going to discuss today, because I don't want those two intertwining or intersecting at all. I have been dealing with some comparisonitis from people in my life who were comparing me to this author. Not intentionally, not in a malicious way, nothing crazy like that. But when one's success in a capitalist society, one's success is often measured by how much money and recognition and notoriety and fame you're getting. And there is really no greater success, so to speak, than to have, your book not only contracted for, multi-figure deals and getting book deals and things like that, or getting movie deals like that, but it's also, that success definition is also couched in, you and like getting like all this amazing, wonderful press and things like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the reality of being an author is that particular level of success is a lottery ticket. It's a combination of talent, skill, but also connections and timing, essentially. And if you're missing any one of those things, you are not ever going to hit that author lottery. You can, however, create a really wonderful self-sustaining career as an author and also make an impact creatively, sociologically, culturally with your work that is important to you. And so as much as I would love to have that commercial success, my primary definition of success is what I just defined as success for me personally. Making a sustainable living, which will come, and also making sure that my work is culturally, sociologically, and personally meaningful to me as well as to the readers who are reading my work. And so it's very hard when, your family is calling you and not only gushing about another author, but comparing your work to the other authors. And it's not that people are saying that my work is bad or inferior, but there is this hidden question under it, sort of like, well, when is your work going to get that kind of recognition? It's never actually overtly stated, but that's sort of the question that's in everybody's minds. Like, is your career going to be this successful? I think some of the people in my life who have been calling me and talking to me about this successful individual and sort of tacitly asking me those questions are sort of wondering, like, ooh, is this gonna, is Colby gonna take us to the same kind of heights? And it's not in a vampiric, barnacle, leech sort of way that they're asking this, but, it's like they got stars in their eyes, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm over here, though, trying to just like very, detachedly not only maintain my own definition of success and personal achievement, but also trying to manage the expectations of the people in my life. Because if something ever happens like that to my career, trust me, like I'm going to be super amped and excited and everything. I mean, I want to build an empire, publishing, filmmaking, game design. Like I want to build an empire / fempire on my creative ideas and all my creative drive and my ambition and the things that I want for communities of color who are writing in these genres and shooting films and designing games in these genres, but who just don't have a platform, right? I want to build a fempire. So having that kind of success is a major step toward that. But at the same time, I still have to recognize and appreciate where I am, what I have done with the little that I have going for myself in terms of money and connections. And I have to also really respect my process. And I kind of felt as though these conversations I was having with my close, compatriots, family, friends about this massive success of this author was really starting to encroach upon how I looked at my own work. Again, comparisonitis, which I generally tend to stay away from, and I stay in my own little hole and like just keep my nose to the grindstone and keep doing what I want to do. But I was really feeling it this past week and a half, guys. And what was the most hurtful, I guess, about these individuals comparing me to this mega author is that none of them have actually read any of my books. These are people who are closest to me in my life, and they haven't even finished my book, any of my books, and haven't given any reviews. And which is understandable because usually your family and your friends are not your audience, right? Which is fine. But, the one thing that people can do to help you get to that commercial success is to actually pitch in and read your work and give feedback and give reviews. That's really going to help people to find my work. But it seems as though everybody's sort of obsessed with the instant success, the seeming overnight success model. And that's not really a realistic model for literally 99% of us authors out there. And so I felt like I was fighting this battle, not only externally to explain to these individuals in my life how things actually worked in publishing, but I was also then fighting internally all of a sudden, fighting myself and wondering about the validity and wondering about the impact and the importance of my own work. And when I start to doubt myself and whether or not I am doing what I need to do for my career, that's when it becomes a problem. That's sort of why I want to talk about enjoying the process, because in addition to getting all that sort of pressure from these individuals in my life, I also have been struggling with just getting words on the page for the past week. The first week of July was actually pretty good, actually really good, really successful. This past week and a half have been more challenging for me personally. And I'm trying to figure out, I was trying to figure out what the sporadic writing desire was about. And then I finally realized that it's because I'm not enjoying the process. It's because I'm focused on product and I'm not focused on, I cannot wait to reconnect with my characters and go with them hand in hand on this journey. I can't wait to design this guild. I can't wait to, design this nanotechnology for, the Camille series, or I can't wait to design this, new virus, for another series I'm thinking about writing and developing, both on a novel level and on the TV series level. I am consistently missing out on the magic and on the charm and the beauty and the frivolity that comes along with being a fiction writer. I just want to have more fun writing, and I realized that is the reason why I haven't been writing as much. I have all of these pressures on me because I have these goals to be an author that puts out a certain number of books per year and who, is doing this and that with her career and is aiming to build this fempire, which is all important. Like, the end goal is important, but I really have to honestly enjoy the process or it's not really worth it. We don't even know ever if the product is going to ever emerge. We just don't know, I don't know if I'm going to walk out the door today and get hit by a car or whatever, or get hit by a rock or something and just be the end of Kobe R. Rice. And if something like that were to happen, all I had at that point, or all I would have had, would have been the process. and I need to enjoy it while I'm in it. And that's actually a big reason why, too, I've been working more on the Bohemian Badass in the past few weeks and in the past month overall. That and TV writing, because the process is really fun and enjoyable. Like, I can't wait to see what I, create and come up with for my new page structures at the Bohemian Badass. I can't wait to discover these new amazing skills that I can apply to, other endeavors. I already have now 2 more commissions. Now that people have seen my website, 2 more commissions to design websites for people. One's for my mom and one's for my friend. But still, that's something that I can do and that I'm excited to do, to put into my portfolio. You know what I'm saying? And so it's developing a skill, a graphic design and web design skill that is really valuable, not only for me as an independent entrepreneur and creative, but also if I wanted to make some money, I can literally design websites now for $2,000 a pop or whatever, which would also include then a video series and a course on how to then maintain and update the website. So it's well worth the money. So anyway, so you can see how I'm already sort of naturally, just excitedly planning out how I could turn this skill that I'm learning into an actual product that's not only going to help make money, but will help people. But I'm still enjoying the process of learning and also creating not only the website, but also the things that will come from the website professionally. I want to feel that way again about my writing. When I was 10 years old and I didn't know anything about anything, I literally brought a composition notebook to school every single day as a 5th grade, like the beginning of 5th grade. And literally on every single break, every single recess, when I wasn't doing homework, I was writing in that composition notebook, writing a story about 4 girls in a magical mailbox, which I will still turn into an actual series at some point down the line. It's going to be great. And their adventures, whenever they put a letter into the mailbox or a package in the damn mailbox, it took them to a new place, all right? And it didn't matter where the letter was addressed to. If it was addressed to outer space, they were going to freaking outer space. You know what I'm saying? It was just great. And it didn't have to make sense. The plot didn't make sense. The sequence of scenes didn't make any sense. We jumped from, an Amazon rainforest to fighting ninja assassins in Japan. I was 10 years old when I was writing this. It made no sense, but it was so much fun. Every time I opened that notebook, it was as though the entire rest of the world fell away. Like I was in, Assassin's Creed and I just got my, my next target. When you do that in Assassin's Creed, the entire world shatters because it's sort of like a sci-fi, almost cyberpunk kind of series. But the whole world shatters and the veil of the machine that you're in as an assassin comes down. That's how I feel, or that's how I felt as a 10-year-old opening my composition notebook. The entire world would just fade away and a whole new world would erect right around me. And I mean, honestly, I haven't had that experience in a long time. And when I do, it's very rare, So in a lot of ways, sometimes writing will feel like a chore or will feel painful. And that is not where I want to be as a writer. It's really not. And so I had a really long conversation with a really good friend of mine. And if she's watching, she knows who she is. She's amazing. And she is the one who talked to me about product versus process and really woke me up to what I was probably struggling with and what her personal agenda, I don't even want to say agenda because that sounds a little nefarious, but what her personal goals were as a person and as an artist. And her 2 bottom lines are did I wake up today? And 2, was I the person that I wanted to be today? And if she can answer yes to both of those questions, then she's doing pretty good. And I want to do the same thing. I want to wake up and be okay, I woke up. So we're already sort of a third of the way there. Was I the person who I wanted to be today? And 3, most importantly, did I take joy in the things that I did today? I mean, you're not going to be completely in love with every single thing you do, but is there some level of joy that you can access as an artist in order to make yourself happy and make yourself better? And I feel like I can answer that question when I'm designing a television series. I feel as though I can answer that question when I am designing my website. I feel like I can answer that question when I'm even designing courses and workbooks and things like that. But I feel like I've lost sight of that third joy question when I start to write, when I sit down and write my novels. And that is because I'm putting all of this external pressure on myself to write something that blows people's minds. And when I'm keeping other people in my sort of, in my, I don't want to say in my rear view, but in my fore view, I'm not really considering whether or not I'm enjoying the drive or whether or not I'm going the direction that I want to go. I just want to get back to a place where I cannot wait to dive back into these adventures and not worry about wordsmithery or, developing a cinematic scene, etc. And I think that's also one of the pitfalls of being a hardcore plotter. Because when you're a hardcore plotter, there's nothing wrong with being a hardcore plotter. But there is a reason why you're doing it. And you're doing it because you want to work towards the product. Okay? Plotting, oh my God, this is like my epiphany. Plotters are focused very much on product. That's not to say that that's all we're focused on, but when you plot deliberately, scene by scene, you are focused to some degree on finishing the product. Pantsers are definitely more about the process. I mean, they know they're going to have something at the end of their journey, but they have no idea what they're going to do with that, and if it's going to be good. And I think I need to develop the pantsing side of my mind a little bit more and engage. I need to bring the pantser out more to play. Because I do believe very firmly in plotting. If you want to work towards a deadline or you want to work towards a finished product, that is important. But if you're starting to not really enjoy the process, that probably means you're more focused on the product and you need to let go and just be whimsical for a damn second and just write. Just pants your way through something and be, just be whimsical. Skip through the proverbial field of dandelions and daisies. And so I think my goal for myself personally is to not necessarily let go of my plotting instincts completely, but to let the pantser out to play more. I feel like my pantser is a little bit stunted. The growth of my pantser has been stunted pretty much ever since I decided to write a novel, right? Again, that's a product-oriented thinking. Pretty much since 2012, 2013, I sort of put the pantser away and I said, I need to have a finished product. So let's start plotting and let's start working towards a product. And then that's when, in addition to plotting, all these other things came into play. Marketing, website design, storefront design, distribution, getting an editor, getting a cover design, paperback, audiobooks, all this other stuff that comes along with producing a great product. And I think I have really honed my skills very much and been very well on producing product. But in the meantime, the pantser is like locked in this weird basement, being unable to come out to play. And that's unacceptable to me. And so I want to really engage the pantser a lot more. I want to enjoy the process of writing a lot more. I want to be more whimsical. I want to just get up and fall into a different world and have the world around me just leave. And I think in addition to, as I think about how I want to grow and develop towards the remainder of my year, I think I'm going to sort of let go, not of deadlines really, but I'm going to let go of most other things that I feel are necessary to produce a good product. They'll still be there in the back of my mind, but I want to really focus on what are the things that I need to do to have a really amazing, hilarious, fulfilling just incredible, fun process. And so that's what I'm going to be focusing on personally as an artist and as a writer. And that includes, unfortunately, tuning out a lot of the comparisonitis talk that I'm hearing externally, because all that comparisonitis stuff is focused on product. And there's nothing wrong with product. But again, if we're going to go from product to process, I need to get back into myself. I need to get back into my writing spirit. I need to, again, skip and frolic and be free. And so I think that's going to be another personal goal going forward, which is to engage more with that process-oriented side of myself and see what happens. You know, I mean, honestly, I feel as though if I engage more with process and pantsing and just having fun, the product will probably come because I'll actually want to come to the page and to the computer every day to frolic in that world. So that's basically sort of my insight. I sort of worked through that a little bit with you guys because when you speak things out loud, you finally start to understand what's been going on with you a little bit more. Excuse me. So I guess that's the lesson that I'll leave with you guys today. Ask yourself those 3 questions. Did you wake up today? Were you the person that you wanted to be today? And 3, did you take joy in the things that you did today? And if you can't answer those 3 questions, then there's definitely some room for improvement. And I'm not really the person to tell others how to fix their lives. I don't feel like it's my place. And also, I'm not interested in telling people what to do. But in terms of helping creatives to take care of themselves, their spirit, their confidence, their inner child, I do feel like that is my responsibility to share my insights with you guys, because I am invested in taking care of my inner child. I love my inner child and I want to take care of her. So those are the 3 questions that I would ask myself if I were you, because those are the 3 questions I'm definitely going to start asking myself every single day. And if I can't respond in the affirmative, I'm going to make active changes so I can respond in the affirmative. So that's basically that. Aside from re-engaging with process, I think it's important too to just remember that Rome was not built in a day. You do just have to build your own space, your own real estate, your own empire brick by brick. And not all of the bricks are going to look the same. And you're not going to necessarily work on, especially if you're working by yourself, you're not necessarily going to work on the same wall or the same place at the same, at the same time or in succession. So, maybe for the past month, I've been working on the Bohemian Badass, and that's like my kitchen remodel. But, I now am going to try to see what's going on in the basement with my novel writing, right? And then my TV writing is maybe like The Den or something, so it's just like there are different ways to engage in building things little by little. And I think that in order to keep laying those bricks, you not only have to have the craft and the skill and the product in mind, but you also should probably be enjoying your work and the process. So that's what I will leave with you guys. That's what I'm going to work on personally as the weeks sort of draw on and as graduate school approaches. And I will let you guys know where I am in each stage of the process. Hopefully I'll be making progress on my process and I will let you guys know how the pantser is doing, because I feel like she's been locked up for a little bit too long and it's really affecting me in a negative way as an artist. So having said that, I will talk to you guys very soon. I will be back hopefully on Monday. In the meantime, keep it indie, stay badass, keep creating, and I will see you guys next week. Mwah. Bye. Keep writing. Keep your inner child out there. Okay, bye.